But hear me clearly. God never leaves his people without weapons. God never sends his children into battle without armor. God has hidden mysteries in creation itself. And one of the most profound mysteries that carries power when placed in the hands of faith is salt. And when you freeze salt with faith, declaring the authority of God over your life, you are not performing superstition. You are declaring war on darkness and commanding the forces of witchcraft to stop cold in their tracks. Salt is no ordinary substance. It preserves, it purifies, it protects. God created salt to fight corruption, to prevent decay, to carry the symbol of covenant and permanence. Salt resists rot, and in the same way, when consecrated before God, salt in your hands resists evil. Evil seeks to rot your destiny. Witchcraft seeks to corrupt your peace. Curses seek to eat away at your blessings. But salt stands as a divine witness of preservation. And when you freeze salt, you are declaring that the corruption of the enemy, the rot of darkness, the decay of witchcraft will no longer spread in your life. You are freezing the works of evil, locking them in stillness, declaring that they can no longer advance, no longer move, no longer operate against you. The problem is that many people underestimate the schemes of the enemy. They laugh at the idea of witchcraft. They say, that belongs to old times, to ancient cultures. And yet, they cannot explain why their money disappears without reason, why their health fails without cause, why their homes are filled with endless conflict, why they are bound in habits they cannot break. They refuse to see that darkness is real. But those who are wise, those who are awake, those who look through the eyes of faith, understand that we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with powers of evil that seek to cover our lives in shadows. To those who see, God provides keys. And one of those keys is this mystery of salt. When you hold salt in your hand and lift it before God, you are holding a declaration. You are holding something that symbolizes the incorruptible nature of His covenant. And when you freeze it in faith, you are saying to every curse, every spell, every charm, every word spoken against you, enough. You will go no further. You will remain bound and powerless. The frozen salt becomes a seal of faith, a wall erected in the spiritual realm that evil cannot cross. It becomes a line drawn in the sand that witches cannot step over. It becomes a barrier around your life, declaring that you belong to God, and God alone governs your destiny. There are people who go to bed every night tormented by strange dreams. They see shadows. They feel attacks pressing upon their chest. They wake up more tired than when they slept. They hear voices whispering fear, confusion, and destruction. They see the faces of people they know working against them in the spirit. And they wonder, why me? Why am I under such attack? But listen to me, the more the enemy attacks you, the more it is proof that you are carrying something valuable. Darkness does not waste energy on the empty. Witchcraft does not pursue the insignificant. Evil does not chase after the powerless. If you are under attack, it is because God has placed something precious in you. Something the enemy fears. Something the enemy wants to stop. And that is why you must not remain passive. You must not simply accept torment as normal. You must rise in faith. Take the weapons God has given you and fight back. And one of those weapons is to take salt, consecrate it, freeze it, and declare that every attack launched against your life is frozen in its place and powerless before God. You may ask, why freezing? Why not simply holding or scattering? Because freezing is the symbol of stopping motion, of binding action, of halting movement. Evil works in cycles. It moves, it circulates, it repeats. Curses move through families. Witchcraft repeats in generations. Patterns of destruction flow like rivers. But when you freeze salt in faith, you are stopping the river of darkness. You are declaring that the movement of evil has ended. You are saying to the cycles of sickness, you will move no further. You are saying to the cycle of poverty, you are frozen and powerless. You are saying to the cycles of broken marriages, you will not continue in my life. You are saying to the arrows of witchcraft, you are frozen mid-flight and you cannot touch me. This is not ritual. This is not magic. This is faith in action, using what God has created as a point of contact to declare His authority over every work of darkness. I tell you today, do not underestimate this mystery. For God always uses the simple to confound the mighty. He used a rod in the hand of Moses to split seas. He used stones in the hand of David to bring down giants. He used clay on blind eyes to restore vision. He can use salt in your hand to dismantle witchcraft. Do not despise what looks small, for in the hands of faith, the small becomes mighty. In the heart of belief, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Salt in your hand, frozen with prayer, becomes a weapon against which no curse can stand. Think about your life. What has been chasing you? What has been resisting you? What doors have been locked, no matter how much you knock? What blessings have been delayed, no matter how much you work? It is time to declare that the delay is over. It is time to declare that the chase is ended. It is time to declare that the witchcraft has failed. It is time to freeze salt and, with the authority of God, to freeze every work of evil against your destiny. And when you do not do it with doubt. Do not do it with fear. Do it with faith, knowing that the God who created salt is the same God who hears your cry, sees your battle, and delights in your victory. The enemy thrives on fear. Witchcraft feeds on your trembling. Curses draw power from your belief in their strength. But when you turn to God with unwavering faith, you strip the enemy of all authority. Fear is the open door, faith is the barricade. Fear invites, faith resists. And freezing salt is an act of faith, a visible declaration that you will no longer bow to fear. You are drawing a line with God. You are saying, I refuse to live under the shadow of witchcraft. I refuse to allow evil to dictate my destiny. I refuse to accept bondage as my portion. My portion is freedom. My portion is peace. My portion is blessing. My portion is life. Because my portion is God. Every curse has an origin. Every spell has a source. And when you freeze salt, you are speaking directly to those sources, declaring that their power has ended. You are saying to the one who speaks curses against you in secret, Your words are frozen and void. You are saying to the one who mixes charms with your name, your charms are frozen and powerless. You are saying to the one who rises against you in envy and hatred, your plans are frozen before they reach me. The salt you freeze becomes a witness before God that you have declared your trust in Him and your rejection of every chain the enemy seeks to place upon you. My friend, do not be timid. Do not hold back. Evil is bold, witchcraft is aggressive, curses are unrelenting. Why should you be silent? Why should you be passive? Rise with boldness, rise with authority, rise with faith, and declare with your actions that you are a child of God, and no power of darkness has the right to touch you. When you freeze salt in faith, you are sending a message into the unseen realm, a message that every demon, every spirit of witchcraft, every curse, and every evil force understands life is sealed. This destiny is preserved. This person belongs to God, and God's authority is final. Even as I speak now, some of you can feel a stirring in your spirit. You know this is for you. You know you have been under attack. You know there have been forces working against your peace. You know that what I am saying is the truth your spirit has long been waiting to hear. Do not dismiss it. Do not turn away. Take hold of this word, act on it, freeze salt in faith, and watch what God will do. Watch as the nightmares end. Watch as the confusion lifts. Watch as the cycles break. Watch as the chains fall. Watch as the curses scatter. Watch as the witchcraft collapses. For God is faithful, and God will not allow His child to remain bound. Do not delay. Do not hesitate. Do not allow another day of torment to pass. God has already provided the key. The weapon is already in your hand. The authority is already given. The power is already yours. Freeze salt and free yourself from all evil and witchcraft, because when you act in faith, the power of God moves, and when the power of God moves, no darkness can stand. Let me take you deeper, because what I am speaking about is not a surface matter. It is a profound reality of the spiritual world. Too many people live blind to the invisible realm. They rise in the morning, they eat, they work, they laugh, they plan, but they never pause to realize that around them rages a war unseen, but constant, fierce, but silent. There are powers of darkness watching, plotting, whispering, seeking to ensnare. They are patient, they are cunning, they are relentless. But above them all, greater than them all, sovereign over them all, is God. And when you belong to God, when you stand under His covering, you need not tremble. For what He gives you as a shield, as a key, as a weapon, is enough to silence the strategies of darkness. That is why I tell you, do not laugh at the mystery of salt. Do not dismiss it as too simple. For in the hands of faith, God has turned the ordinary into extraordinary from the beginning of time. Salt is not merely a mineral. It is a divine creation carrying meaning, carrying weight, carrying power when consecrated to the Almighty. You see, evil seeks movement. It seeks to flow like water, to seep into cracks, to spread like fire. That is why curses repeat in generations. That is why witchcraft often feels like it circles again and again. It is because Evil thrives in cycles, in motion, in repetition. But when you take salt and freeze it in the presence of God, you are announcing to every cycle, no more. You are declaring that what has moved against you will stop. You are cutting the circuit of darkness. You are binding the currents of evil. Freezing salt is not superstition. It is the act of saying, God, as this salt stops moving, so too must every evil current against me stop. And in that act of faith, God moves. He honors the declaration of a heart that believes. But hear me, the power is not in the salt alone. The power is in God who made the salt. The power is in the faith that looks to God through the salt. Without God, salt is just a mineral. With God, salt becomes a shield. Without God, freezing salt is only ice. With God, freezing salt is a proclamation in the unseen realm that demons cannot ignore. This is the difference between ritual and faith. Ritual is empty. Faith is filled with power because it leans on God alone. When you freeze salt in faith, you are not trusting in salt. You are trusting in God who gave salt meaning. You are saying, God, you are my protector. You are my shield. You are my deliverer. As this salt freezes, let the schemes of darkness freeze also. And let me speak plainly, witchcraft cannot withstand faith. Evil cannot endure the fire of a heart wholly given to God. Demons cannot cross the barrier erected by unwavering trust in the Almighty. They may try to whisper, they may try to frighten, they may try to linger at the edges of your life. But the moment you rise with conviction and declare that your life belongs to God, they scatter. They are cowards before His majesty. They are powerless before His greatness. They tremble before His authority. But you must believe, you must rise, you must take the stand. For many who claim to trust God still live in fear, still bow in their minds to curses, still give too much credit to evil. They whisper about witchcraft in hushed tones, as though it has greater power than the Creator Himself. But I tell you, God is supreme. God alone has the final word. Freezing salt is a symbol of that final word. It is the physical manifestation of your declaration that evil does not write your story. Witchcraft does not decide your destiny. Curses do not define your life. Only God does. And when God defines a thing, it is settled forever. When He blesses, no curse can overturn it. When He speaks life, no death can cancel it. When He opens doors, no darkness can shut them. This is why your act of faith matters. It aligns you with the eternal decree of God. It declares that you agree with His power, that you reject the lies of evil, that you embrace the victory already secured by His sovereignty. Some of you listening right now feel as though you are drowning. Problems are piling up. Attacks come from every direction. Your nights are restless, your days are heavy, and your heart feels weak. You wonder if you will ever find relief, if you will ever know peace. I tell you with the authority of truth, God has not forgotten you. You are not abandoned. You are not cursed beyond hope. You are not lost in the maze of witchcraft forever. The very fact that you are hearing these words means that God is speaking to you, that He is pulling you into light, that He is showing you a path of freedom. And part of that path is to rise with faith to take salt, to freeze it, and to declare your liberty. It may sound small, it may look simple, but in the realm of the Spirit, it is thunder, it is lightning, it is fire that scatters darkness. Do not think that freedom will come only by chance. Do not wait for evil to grow tired of you. Evil never rests. Witchcraft never takes holidays. Curses do not retire on their own. If you do not resist, they will advance. If you do not confront, they will dominate. If you do not rise, they will trample. But if you rise in God's name, if you take the weapons He has given, if you stand with faith in your heart and fire in your spirit, nothing can touch you. The forces that once mocked you will fear you. The spirits that once attacked you will retreat. The curses that once held you will break. Because when a person stands with God, they are unstoppable. When you freeze salt in faith, you are proclaiming that unstoppable authority. You are reminding yourself and announcing to the unseen that your God reigns, and no witchcraft has permission to touch your life. And let me tell you another truth: words carry power. Witchcraft often works through words, words spoken in envy, words whispered in anger, words chanted in rituals. Words are arrows in the mouth of those who hate you, but words of faith are stronger. Words aligned with God are sharper. Words spoken in conviction silence the voices of curses. So when you freeze salt, do not stay silent. Speak, declare, announce. Say, by the authority of God, every curse spoken against me is frozen and powerless. Every evil word will not prosper. Every voice of witchcraft is silenced. Your words, combined with the act of faith, become a force the enemy cannot withstand. You see, the enemy fears the believer who knows their authority in God. Not the one who simply prays timidly, not the one who trembles before every shadow, but the one who stands firm and says, "My God is greater. My God is stronger. My God is my shield." That believer becomes a fire in the spirit realm, and darkness flees from them. That is who you must become. That is who you already are, if only you will believe. Freezing salt is one way to express that belief, to put action to faith, to declare with your whole being that you are no longer under the grip of witchcraft. So rise today. Shake off the dust of fear. Break the chains of timidity. Lift your head and declare that you belong to God. Take salt, freeze it, and with every frozen grain declare that the works of evil are stopped in their tracks. Walk through your home with boldness. Speak over your family with confidence. Stand over your future with assurance. For God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of strength. God has not called you to be a victim, but a victor. God has not destined you for bondage, but for freedom. And the act of freezing salt is a step into that freedom, a tangible act of faith, declaring that your life is sealed, preserved, and secured by the power of God. Let me open your eyes to a truth many refuse to face. The greatest battle you fight is not in the marketplace, not in your workplace, not even in the arguments of daily life. The greatest battle is unseen, fought in silence, waged in shadows, where forces of evil plot your downfall without rest. Witchcraft does not announce itself with trumpets. Evil does not always march in broad daylight. Instead, It works quietly. It creeps slowly. It hides behind smiles. It masks itself in familiar voices. It uses envy, jealousy, anger, and hatred as doors to enter. And while you live thinking it is only coincidence, it is weaving webs around your destiny. But the power of God is sharper than every web, brighter than every shadow, stronger than every force of witchcraft. And the wisdom of God is this: He gives His children symbols, weapons and mysteries so they will never be helpless. Salt is one of those mysteries. Freezing salt is a proclamation, a holy declaration that the hidden works of evil will be exposed, bound and destroyed by the hand of the Almighty. You must understand that witchcraft operates by agreement. It thrives when people unknowingly agree with fear, when they submit to lies, when they tolerate patterns of destruction as normal. As long as you agree with evil, it has ground to stand on. But the moment you rise and declare with your actions and words, "I agree only with God," the power of witchcraft begins to crumble. Freezing salt is you cutting every hidden agreement. It is you saying, "I no longer allow these cycles in my life. I no longer agree with oppression. I no longer agree with curses. I agree only with God." And when you do this, heaven responds. The chains begin to fall because the authority of God is activated in your faith. Think about it. Salt has always been a covenant substance. In ancient times, people sealed their promises with salt because salt does not decay. It does not rot. It endures. So when you take salt before God, you are reminding yourself and declaring in the Spirit that your covenant is with Him, not with darkness. You are saying, "God, as salt endures, so my trust in you endures. As salt resists decay, so my life resists corruption. As salt preserves, so my destiny is preserved." And when you freeze that salt, you are saying, every enemy plan against this covenant is frozen and finished. Now let me speak to your house, your family, your children, your bloodline. Witchcraft often moves not only against individuals, but against generations. That is why families suffer from the same sicknesses, the same losses, the same failures. You see a grandfather who died in poverty, a father who struggled in poverty, and now children walking the same road. You see a grandmother whose marriage collapsed, a mother whose marriage was destroyed, and daughters repeating the same pain. These are not random events. These are cycles. They are chains woven through time. But the God who sits above generations can break cycles in one moment. And when you freeze salt in faith, you are not only protecting yourself, you are standing as a warrior for your entire bloodline. You are declaring, from today, the curses that moved through this family stop here. They will not flow into my children. They will not touch the next generation. They are frozen, finished, broken by the authority of God. Do you know why this matters so deeply? Because God is a God of inheritance. He blesses not only individuals, but families, generations, descendants. Witchcraft also seeks inheritance. It tries to steal blessings meant for your children, tries to pass curses instead of blessings, tries to sow destruction instead of prosperity. But you must rise and fight, not only for yourself, but for those who come after you. Your act of faith with frozen salt is not only a shield for today, it is a sword cutting off the hands of darkness from touching your tomorrow. It is you standing in the gap for your children and your children's children, declaring that their destiny will not be stolen, their light will not be dimmed. It was created by God to lift the soul toward Him, to awaken the heart to worship, to align our spirit with His presence. But what God creates for good, Satan twists for destruction. If you doubt this, just look around. Notice how entire cultures are shaped by songs. Notice how movements rise on the back of rhythms. Notice how even your own mood, your own thoughts, your own desires can change within minutes of listening to a single melody. This is not coincidence. Music carries spirit. And in this generation, Satan has dressed his poison in rhythm, and millions are dancing to it without realizing they are dancing away from God. When you let this melody into your life, you are not just listening with your ears, you are opening a door into your spirit. Do you not understand? Sound penetrates deeper than words. A lyric can bypass your reasoning and sink straight into your subconscious. A beat can stir desires in you that were sleeping, awaken, lust that was buried, trigger anger that was controlled, or dull your hunger for the things of God. This is why the enemy loves music, because it carries influence without resistance. People defend it, excuse it, justify it, and yet it is the very chain keeping them bound. And here lies the great deception. Millions of Christians think they can consume this melody without consequence. They say, it's only a song. It's only music. It doesn't affect me. But I tell you the truth. What you consume consumes you. What you feed on, you become. You cannot pour filth into your ears and expect purity in your soul. You cannot feed on violence, lust, greed, and rebellion through melodies, and then wonder why your heart feels heavy and your spirit feels distant from God. Do you not see? The enemy is programming you without your permission, shaping your desires, shifting your values, and slowly desensitizing your spirit until sin no longer looks dangerous, but normal. God gave you 24 hours each day. Hours meant to be filled with His Word, with prayer, with building your destiny, with serving others, with glorifying His name. Yet how many hours are wasted on melodies that glorify everything God despises? Songs that exalt rebellion, songs that worship lust, songs that praise greed, songs that glorify darkness. And you think you can drink this poison daily and still remain spiritually alive? My friend, you are deceiving yourself. The melody of Satan is not entertainment. It is warfare. It is his most powerful weapon to seduce your soul while you smile and sing along. Look closely at what the world calls music today. Notice how the lyrics are filled with rebellion against authority, rebellion against purity, rebellion against God. Notice how the beats are designed not to uplift your spirit, but to seduce your flesh. Notice how the culture surrounding this music promotes immorality, addiction, violence, vanity, and emptiness. Do you think this is an accident? No, this is design. This is a carefully crafted strategy by Satan himself to turn the hearts of men and women away from God. And the tragedy is that millions of Christians Men and women who claim to love God are filling their minds, their cars, their homes, and their children's ears with the very poison that will destroy them. Let me tell you something you must never forget. Whatever you allow to enter your ears will eventually shape your soul. That is why God wants us to guard our hearts diligently, for out of them flow the issues of life. If your ears are gates, then music is the army that marches through those gates daily. If the melody you feed on glorifies darkness, do not be surprised when darkness begins to grow in you. If the songs you play exalt lust, do not be shocked when lust begins to burn uncontrollably inside you. If the rhythms you love exalt violence, do not wonder why peace escapes you. And if the voices you follow glorify pride, vanity, and rebellion, do not be surprised when humility and obedience to God feel impossible. The melody of Satan is not always obvious. Sometimes it is bold, filled with explicit rebellion and sin. But often it is subtle, hidden in charm, wrapped in beauty, disguised as art.